is Full of Shift.
Oh, you still want to do the song?
This is Full of Shift. This is Full of Shift. We're shifting real time. This is Full of Shift. Hey, all, my name is Nico Tortorella.
And I'm Bethany C. Meyers.
Welcome back to another episode of Full of Shift. How you doing, babe? It's real.
It's rough today.
You are in it. We are in it.
We are in it.
How many more weeks do we got?
Well, who knows? I guess it depends on when the baby comes. This is now 33 weeks.
So technically there's 7 weeks. But once we hit 39, it's kind of go time.
Well, once you hit 37,
it's
you're
considered
full term.
Right,
so
right.
You could home birth a baby. It's like not premature.
Right. Oh, man.
So that's 4 weeks. That's 4 weeks.
And by the time this episode comes out, right?
The baby will be born.
Yeah, like this is going to come out. We've already had the baby, but we're recording beforehand, which I think is interesting, you know?
Yeah,
Actually,
it's weird.
This week that we are recording this episode is the week that we're releasing the first episode.
Yeah.
How are you?
No. Well, yeah.
Yeah, the pilot teaser situation.
The pilot teaser. Yeah, we're announcing that we have a podcast tomorrow.
How are you feeling?
Really excited. Well, I just got...
Some butterflies?
Yeah. I feel like I had to poop now.
Here we go. This is going to be an entire episode just about poop. Again.
No, it's not. No,
but how are you feeling just in terms of like protecting the space and letting people in right now? Because it's intense. I mean, we're letting a lot of people into our world, into our energy orbit.
Well, I'm really excited because I think we've been preparing and this is like what we've been wanting to do.
Right.
So in that sense, it feels really good. It's like, let's get it out there, you know?
It's time.
And I'm excited to share. And I just feel like I'm excited. I'm excited to have a new thing that's mine. Like I've been feeling so in between, post-become. And, you know, like I think that will feel good.
Yeah, something new to talk about.
Yeah. I feel a little bit nervous about like just the logistics of everything and getting back into that, you know, groove. Yeah. But once we have, it will soon be, will soon be a flow and it'll soon be turnkey and then that'll be better. Just like always the beginning of stages of something new and the transition is like, you got to work through the rough patches.
Yeah, totally.
It's like when you first move to New York City and you have to like figure out the subway.
Right.
And it feels so daunting. And then like you do it a few times, then you know your route.
You know exactly where you're going.
Yeah. And you just turn on your headphones and like, that's it.
We're still learning the subway here, guys. We did a little road trip yesterday.
We did. It was so much fun.
It was fun. Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. But that is part of the reason why I think we're both like, that's why I'm cashed today.
Yeah, we're a little spent. Yeah, we drove from Naples, Florida, to our town over on the East Coast. We've done a lot of road trips over the last 19, 20 years. It's kind of like a staple of our relationship.
Yeah. What's been one of your most memorable road trips that we've taken?
We did Thanksgiving one year when we were living in New York and we drove to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. We had no idea where we were going. We just got in the car with the dogs.
With our dogs.
Yeah, we had 2 dogs. We just got in the car. Or no, I guess we had 3 dogs at the time. It was mom, brother, and papa. It wasn't even son.
Right.
Yeah. And we just got in the car and drove southwest, and just like started driving through like the boonies of Pennsylvania, which like is very Amish. You don't really realize that, but
we went to like 3 different places. We went to Bethlehem, which had tons of Christmas stuff going on.
Yeah, it was like a Hallmark movie. That time. Yeah, it was
and
really sweet. We got kicked out of the hotel, remember?
Because of the dogs, because we were sneaking them?
Yeah, we snuck them in, and then we left to go get food, and the dogs were barking so loud, we got kicked out of the hotel. And then we went and got an Airbnb, and then we also stayed in a little
to like a bed and breakfast. I don't think there was Airbnb at that time.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
We found some bed and breakfast.
But like all the little antique stores that we would stop at, too.
Yeah. Remember that one that was a big warehouse with clothes on the floor?
Clothes on the floor, yeah. And do you remember they had...
I got that further.
Do you remember they had coffins with skeletons in them?
No. I don't remember that.
Oh, I just wanted to.
Coffins with skeletons?
That were
Human?
human skeletons that were that still had the original clothes on them for sale.
This feels like a lie.
No, it was not.
I don't think that's legal.
Hey, Pennsylvania, they do things differently up there. What was
Okay,
one of your favorite road trips?
What sticks out is Forney, Texas.
Oh my God, do I
That road
love
trip was
Forney,
really
Texas.
great. We road tripped quite a bit through
In
Texas.
Texas, yeah.
And Forney has like the most amazing,
Antique stores.
not even antique stores, like antique warehouses.
Massive, like 50,000 square foot
It was
warehouses just
wild.
packed. Oh my God, there was that one
Yeah.
in Forney that had the Victorian lions. Do you remember those
Yeah.
lions? Yeah, and then there was a snooker table too, like an 1863 snooker table. Like all I wanted to do was buy that snooker table and the lions. Like I had the room.
Say snooker again.
Snooker. I had that room set up.
Snooker, I don't even know her.
Tell me about this road trip this week.
That's
or yesterday.
one of your like go-to jokes.
Honestly, that's a RuPaul joke.
It is?
Yeah, kicker. I don't even know her.
The road trip this week. Well, we road tripped back together.
Yeah.
Which was really lovely, but we did it with the toddler this time.
Well, yeah, I guess let's preface the story. I was in LA last week.
Yes.
And you decided last minute you were going to drive over to the west coast of Florida where your family was to not be alone, 33 weeks pregnant with a toddler.
Right. I was going to be 5 days alone, and my brother, wife, my nieces, who are 11 and 12, live across the state, and my mom was still over there, and it just felt like, could I do this? Could I get over there?
I loved the idea. The second you told it to me, I was like, yeah, that's great.
Not the second. We had to talk about it.
Well, I was under the impression it would have been easier to take an Uber across. So you could be in the back seat with Kilmer, chill out, get some work done.
No, but then
not have to worry about driving.
for 30 minutes in an Uber, what.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, you wanted to be in control of that.
Right. So
you left on Tuesday.
Yeah, so I got all prepared.
You packed the car by yourself.
Mentally prepared. Yes, you got the house, you did as much as you could before you left. So it was a lot of getting ready, getting the car packed, figuring out timing. I was trying to be really strategic about the timing. I'm like, we'll have a morning of packing the car. Then we'll get in. We'll drive for an hour. She'll be watching Miss Rachel in the back.
Theoretically, it's a 3-hour drive. It should be.
It should be a 3-hour drive. Then she'll fall asleep. She'll take her nap in the car. By the time she wakes up, there'll just be 30 minutes left. I really had a plan of how this could potentially go.
How'd that go for you, babe?
What's the saying? They say when you make plans, God laughs or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what happened.
Yeah, so how'd it go?
Big time. So we get in the car. At first it was great and I was feeling very we should also preface that Kilmer historically hates car seats.
Yes.
It has been a really, really big issue for us. Not a little bit of cry and fussy. From the time I was pregnant, I could not ride in the car. And then she was born and she would cry so much. It was having a panic attack. And it was just awful. Short drives, we never even attempted long drives. So we've never drove so far with her for more than an hour. An hour has been our longest drive. Right. And you've done solo with her for an hour. I've never done solo for more than 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So, and I'm very pregnant and it's hard to turn around and reach anything.
And you brought the dog too.
And I had the freaking dog.
Yeah. Wait, I'm just going to preface this because it was fucking hysterical. Yesterday, we were on our way back and you were like, babe, I have to tell you, the toys aren't cleaned up. And I was like, what? And you go, yeah, we were trying to leave the house and Kilmer started playing with her toys and I didn't clean them up. And I thought about bedding down and I said, no, fuck him. He's in LA. He's got alone time. He can clean up the toys when he gets back.
I didn't say that last part. You totally made that up.
No.
Yes, I didn't say he's alone. I just said, you're going to have to deal with it when you come back. Because you like to walk into a house perfectly clean. Which
who does it?
Yeah, for sure. But I couldn't do the toys again. I had already done them 3 times.
Fuck him. He's in LA. He can clean toys up when he gets back.
I didn't say that. I did not say that. All right. Anyway. Okay, so we start driving. Things are going good. Kilmer's watching Miss Rachel. She's in a good mood. I am listening to my Birth Hour podcast.
Shout out Birth Hour.
And then it starts raining.
Ooh, a good old Florida rain.
And it's not a little bit of rain. It is like cannot see in front of you rain. And I didn't feel comfortable to pull over to the side of the road because there was so little visibility. And I feel like I've heard that that's like more, like less safe or something.
Not being able to see.
No, like to pull over to the, like when it's raining, you're not supposed to pull over on the shoulder. It's like, not as safe.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely have to get used to driving in the rain here. I mean, it rains all the time.
No. This was not regular rain. This was monsoon rain.
Hurricanes.
So now I'm driving.
You're having a little bit of a panic attack.
Maybe 30 miles an hour tops with my blinkers on.
95.
On 95.
Yeah.
And it's rained for a long time. And I turn off my podcast and Rachel's still going. And if she makes a sound, I'm like, I cannot turn and look at you. I can't give you anything. And I'm just really trying to like hold it together. I'm like, I'm a mom now. I can do this. Like
both hands on the steering wheel.
Which is also really a weird feeling because I think when you're a kid, you like look at your mom and, are the adults and you're like, they have it all together.
Right.
They know their stuff. They're my safety. But I was freaking out and I didn't want to get off of the highway. Like I just didn't feel comfortable to do anything except like go slow and take my time.
Yeah.
It was probably 45 minutes of rain like this, 30, 45. Maybe it would stop for a little bit and then it would gush back in.
And what was she doing in the back seat?
Open, shut them, hop at a bunnies, hop, hop, hop. Like
she wasn't concerned at all.
She didn't have a fucking clue. She just wanted to like eat her yogurt snacks or whatever,
Shout out yogurt snacks.
So anyway, so then at this point, we've been driving for like an hour and a half. The rain stops.
You're only
I
12
talk to you,
miles
land.
from the house.
I pull over to there's a rest stop, and I'm like, okay, first leg of the trip is done.
Right.
Now we're going to eat. We're going to go to the bathroom. We're going to let her run around this rest stop for a while, and then we're going to get back in. I'm going to give her some milk. She's going to take her nap, and we'll finish the drive.
Easy breezy.
And everything will be great.
Beautiful road trip, girls.
We get back in the car from this, and I realize that the next exit we pass is our friend's exit.
Yeah.
Tay and Zay. It's their exit. And I know that they live like a little less than 1 hour away from us.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, I haven't even made it to their house at this point.
There was a alert that went off in the car that you had low pressure in one of the tires.
Yes, the tire
And I talked
pressure.
to you and you're like, I don't know what to do. Like, do I need to put air in the tire? I was like, babe, just pull over to a gas station, go inside. You're very pregnant. Bring Kilmer. Just ask somebody if they can help you put some air in the tire.
Right. So I said, okay, we're getting off at the rest stop.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't find the air at this rest stop. It's like a really big one.
Yeah.
So then I see a sign that says stop making the face. I see a sign that's like air over this way. It's on like the entrance exit ramp of the rest stop, which I don't feel is safe.
Yeah.
So I pull over and then the tire is on the outside lane. So it's where the cars are entering and exiting. I have never filled up air in a tire. Sorry, but I don't even know. I'm looking at the valve thinking, do you have to take off the valve or do you just put the air? Do you just stick the air on? So I was trying it both ways. Couldn't get the valve off. I'm pregnant trying to kneel down on the ground with cars going by and my daughter in the car. And I just said, nope, it's not that low. We're not doing it. I just won't drive above 80.
Okay.
Then I realized that we had only drove, it had been over an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. We had only drove like an hour. I still had 2 hours of the trip left.
Okay. How were the last 2 hours, babe?
I'm not done. So, okay. So then I get Kilmer her milk. I put on the angel wave frequency sounds that we put her to sleep. I close the sunroof window. Let's make a cozy environment. She has her milk. She's drinking milk. Everything's great. On the freeway, she drops her milk over to her right, like in a spot where I
milk
can't
drop.
get it. Then she starts crying because she really wants her milk. I can't pull over on the shoulder at this point because there are no shoulders. There's construction going on for 15 minutes. So I'm driving and I'm like, baby, I'm going to get your milk soon. It's okay. It's okay. Hop, little bunny's almost there. Do, do, do. And then I see a semi. The shoulder opens and I see a semi that's pulled over on the shoulder. So I'm like, safety. I'll go in front of him so that no one hits us, right? And I'll crawl in the back and I'll get her milk and I'll give it to her. So now I'm pulled over in front of a semi with my big old pregnant belly trying to crawl to the back. I get her milk. I give it to her. She's already been crying for 15 minutes. She wants no part of it. She throws that milk back in my face like, you disgusting witch. What did you just give me? I was like, babe, come on. She's like, no. And so then I was like, well, there's nothing to do except just keep on keeping on. And then I guess like for the first time in her life, she had to cry it out.
Yeah.
We've never done any sleep training.
How long was she crying for?
30 to 40 minutes. And there's nothing that makes my skin crawl more than crying and not being able to like, I also just can't turn and give her things or give her any attention. And finally she fell asleep. So I'm like, okay, we're in a good spot.
Stopped raining.
No more rain. And then now we're like on the alligator alley, like the no man's
there's
land.
Like
there's
one
nothing
street
going
that
on.
takes you from east to west.
And we start to come up upon a, what's it called? A sun pass, a road pass, a tollway. And I don't know if we have a sun pass. I don't know. So I'm like, I think I need to stop. And I think it's going to be one of those just slow down. No, it's like, please stop your vehicle, to roll down your window, to have a guy. So I stop the vehicle. I roll down the window. Guess who wakes up? Kilmer Dove.
Yeah.
Wakes up because the car slowed down and she heard the window roll down. And then the guy waves me through because I already have a sun pass to just keep on going. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So now guess what? Another 30 minutes of her crying. Then she falls asleep for, I don't know, maybe 25 minutes more.
Okay. Then what happened, babe?
She woke up and we still had
2 hours.
Over like probably like 30 left to go at that point. And that's when I whipped out Toy Story.
1 or 2?
1.
Yeah.
And that's how we got there for the rest of the trip.
And then you got to the condo.
Yeah. Well, no, then we got to my brother's house.
Oh,
I went
straight
to the house.
Yeah.
And then, but I got out and I was just like so disheveled. I mean, truly, I like was like almost crying like 3 different times. It was just it was like really, I don't know, it was really intense, which is interesting because our ride back with you was like the complete opposite feeling, of just like, we stopped and took our time. When she was upset, I could reach back. I could chit chat with her. Like the 3-hour trip. I mean, we left at 9. We didn't get back home until 5.
Well, yeah, 'cause we took our time. We went and got food at the grocery store. Then we went to the park. And then we drove to Okeechobee and we had lunch. And we just were like chilling.
We just did a thing. And it was nice. Like it felt really comfortable to, it's just, I really don't know how single parents do it.
You figure it out. I mean, you did. You figured it out. You got there.
I did, but it really made me grateful to have you on the way back.
Yeah.
Not just for you driving. And also I could like move my legs around more and make my body more comfortable, but just like to have a partner to do it with, Also, Kilmer really, really likes when we talk.
Are all together.
Like she likes to hear us talk.
Yeah.
And she falls asleep easier hearing us just having conversation with each other and not paying attention to her than when we're trying to do a whole thing, getting her to sleep.
Well, I was in LA last week for a few different things. I had some music rehearsals. I had a couple meetings. I recorded an episode full of Shift at the Spotify studios with Alexa Mansour, which was so much fun. And yeah, I mean, right when I landed and you had just gotten to your brother's house in Naples, you're like, babe, I can't do this trip back by myself. Like, can you come here? And I was flying back into Fort Lauderdale, which is still an hour and a half from our house here. So I was like, yeah, sure. I'll just fucking take an Uber from Fort Lauderdale to Naples. We'll spend the day in Naples, and then we'll drive back together to make it as easy as possible for you guys. Because you know what? I mean, we are in the 3rd trimester. It's a lot. It was like a bold move. I know people do it all the time, but it was a bold move for you to get in the car and do that trip. And I'm proud of you for doing it. I know
Thanks,
it was
babe.
hard.
I'm really proud of me too.
Yeah. Tell me about your week in Naples with the fam.
I mean, I'm so happy that we went.
Yeah.
I'm really, really happy. I think traveling with a toddler comes with its own set of challenges in the sense that it always is easier to be at your house because you've like baby proofed your house.
Right.
You know, like not that we've gone through and like put things over the plugins, but like, you know, the bottom shelves of things that she can get in doesn't have glass and
Bleach.
knives and
Yes.
bleach. Right. Yeah. Like, you know, we have our setup in our house and we have certain toys. So I
Certain
think
drawers and cabinets that have child locks on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're like, I definitely every room I would go into, I'm looking around. I never realized what a toddler mom I am. I'm like, what doors are open? Close this door, make sure she can't get in here, not getting into the toilet, you know? So there was that. But then Kilmer and I really needed this time. And it was so good to have it with her because, you know, I've been feeling just like a little bit sad about my changing relationship with her and knowing how much it's going to continue to shift with a new baby coming. And it was just like me and her, you know, just snuggling in the bed and like going and getting breakfast together. And like we just got to spend a lot of one on one quality time together. And it was really, really nice to get that moment before everything is about to change so drastically. Not only that, but Kilmer's like a major daddy's girl. So she was like a hardcore mommy's girl all week. And it was nice.
Well, I am leaving 2 more times until this baby is born. So.
You really are leaving 2 more times, Nico. Tell us about that.
I'm playing shows. I'm playing a show in Nashville. I'm playing a show in LA. We're playing London in November.
After the baby's born?
After a month after the baby's born. Yeah. Can't stop, babe. The music is alive and well. I can't stop. I gotta keep going. Come on, it could be a lot of fucking work. I could be at work every day from at least 9 to 5. At least when I am home, I'm home full time. We got a good thing going on, babe.
No, for sure. We definitely do. I don't know. I feel like maybe the working hours would be a better setup than like periods of being gone all the time. And being home all
3
the time.
days.
It's so long.
Wait, tell me about just the time, you know, the last time we were all at your brother's house in Naples was like, what, 4 months after she was born?
3. She was only 3 months.
It's when we decided we were going to move to Florida.
We were going to move to Florida.
That was it. We were staying in a bedroom there. It was hot out. Like Kilmer was having the best sleep of her life in those first 3 months. And we looked at each other and was like, this is it. We're going to start looking at houses in Florida. We
got to Florida. First of all, we would never thought that we were moving to Florida prior.
No, I mean, I've considered it just because my parents are here.
Well, you consider a little bit of everything. But it was like, we had a house that we had just done and bought and like
had a baby in, Like 2 houses.
We were not planning on leaving that space. And we got to Florida and I don't know, Kilmer very, very much determined our move here and thrives here. And we had her in the ocean for the first time and she was just like happy as a clam. And you looked up a house on Zillow and you're like, look at this house. And I was like,
yeah, I found a house in Tanolotasa, suburb northeast of Tampa.
Which ended up being the most catfish house ever.
Yeah, we got catfished at that house. But it was this big Spanish house. I think it was on like 12 acres right next to a cow farm. It looked like a Scarface house. I mean, it was gorgeous on the listing. We got there. We wound up coming back a month later or like weeks later.
To go see that house.
To go look at that house. Yeah, it wasn't it.
It was not even
But that was the beginning of our home search in Florida.
And then we basically came once a month.
Once a month.
Go to different cities and look. And we always had such a great time. We traveled with Kilmer a lot in the first year.
Yeah.
She hasn't been
on a flight. And it was really easy.
Yeah,
she actually hasn't been on a flight in a minute. Yeah, that's right. No, but we were looking all over the state of Florida. We started up, near Tampa. Then we went a little bit further south. Then we started looking at Central Florida. We went to like Winter Haven and, south of Orlando, that vibe, which like in theory was cool, but like why move to Florida unless you're going to be close to the beach?
I'm sure people have their reasons.
Yeah, but it just wasn't close to our family either,
Yeah, it didn't make sense for us.
And then we started going to Miami, south of Miami to like Homestead. He wants to be in Miami. Yeah. I said Miami.
Crazy.
He said, that's the one.
Oh my gosh.
And then that was a hard trip because we actually drove from Winter Haven down to Miami once. That was a hard
No,
time in
we
the
did
car.
not. We went
Yeah.
over to
Oh,
Treasure
yeah,
Coast.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
It was
Sorry.
like an hour drive.
Yeah, but you had a hard time in that drive.
Yeah, because especially then driving with Kilmer, like I
Yeah.
said, was so hard.
Yeah. And then ultimately we decided we were going to rent a house, and I came out for a job. I was here to do a premiere for a movie I'm in called Mattachine Family down in Fort Lauderdale, and I rented a car and started driving a little bit further north to look at rentals and found the rental that we're in now in Martin County, and we are just like, we love it.
Yeah. A lot of people have asked me, how did you guys like, I think the idea of picking up, packing up, and leaving is something that maybe a lot of people think about doing, but actually pulling the trigger on and doing.
It's always been part of who
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah.
I mean, we've never stayed in the same place for very long. The last house that we had, upstate really, was the longest we've ever had a house.
Well, I went St. Louis to Chicago to Los Angeles to Dallas to
Yeah.
New York to here.
Yeah.
New York was my longest stint.
Yeah. I mean, we're movers. We're shifters, shape shifters. But yeah, that was our first time back at your brother's house since we decided to move to Florida. And, Kilmer was so young the first time that we were there. She wasn't like really aware of like what
She was
was
just a
going
little
on.
blob.
Yeah. But now to watch her hang out with our nieces has just been so fucking cool.
It was okay. So this is like the becoming a parent thing that Nico and I, my family loves to play cards.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there playing our family card game. It's called Pitch. If you know how to play, hit us up so we can do a foursome.
A little bit like spades.
So we're playing Pitch, and it was like my nieces are 11 and 12. So they're very much at the age where they are interested in playing with Kilmer and kind of like want to babysit. They want to like be a little mommy vibe,
Yeah, they want to be the adult in the situation, and they get to be that with Kilmer.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we just hear them like in the in their room just playing, and Kilmer's just belly laughing, and you can hear them doo-doo-doo-doo, and her ha ha ha, and just laughing, and Nico and I just we hear a crash, or we hear something, and both of us stop and listen.
And the laughing stopped for a second, right?
Yeah.
We were like,
waiting for the cry. Is it serious? No. Is it not? And then back to laughing, and we're like
running out to show us. She had like a little suitcase with a little teddy bear on top of it. Run out, look at this, Mom, and then went back.
Yeah, and then she'd run back, and it was just like, it was a really cool moment. I don't know. Like, I don't even know how to describe why.
Just watching your kid get older,
Yeah.
and being around family, being around older kids too that like pick up, right? I mean, that was one of the first times we were all in a house together, and we got to like be with the adults, and the kids got to be with the kids.
Yeah.
And I just we're really doing it.
And it made me excited to have a big family and to bring more kids in. There was another night where I was like cooking. I was prepping food for dinner at the house, and Kilmer was just playing with her cousins. And I was like, oh, I haven't really had this experience of just being in the kitchen and cooking, and she's there and playing. And I was like, when there's another kid, this happens more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's difficulties to having more children, but there's also another side that like you're not their main source of entertainment.
Yeah, well, especially with a single child, like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the playing field is going to be even after this one is born. It's going to be 2 and 2. And then, I mean, our goal is to keep going, right? Ideally, we would want 4.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, they become the majority, which I think is so interesting. Like, obviously, we will be in charge for a certain amount of time, but like, they could plan a coup whenever they wanted past 2.
You and the coup planning?
I said that in the car yesterday, and you go, well, Kilmer already has no fucking problem planning a coup.
I mean.
And I go, well, she is Kilmer Dove. Doves do coup. Oh, our drive yesterday was so much fun. Yeah.
It was so fun. And I really think the week was very invigorating, because the week prior for me, I was pretty down in the dumps.
Yeah.
And had like a very intense therapy session. And
yeah, we were unpacking a lot that week.
Yeah,
after
it was
after
just
that
feeling
session.
like
You said some really
really
beautiful things. I took a bunch of notes when we were talking about your therapy session.
well, I'm glad it oh my gosh. He's low.
3rd trimester shift, y'all.
He's real low. Uh, so I think like well, let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's get into it.
So I think one of the biggest things that have been a struggle, that is commonly a struggle in motherhood and in parenthood, is this sense of identity loss.
This conversation again. No, I'm just kidding.
Have we had it?
Just the identity conversation. I was
Oh,
making a
oh,
joke.
oh, 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 I get it. I get it. It didn't land.
Keep going.
um, the identity, the feeling of loss of identity surrounding, specifically right now, surrounding like Kilmer as a toddler, right? She's like she got out of her baby year, and a lot of stuff shifts at a year.
Yeah.
Way more than I realized. Like it's a baby and then it's a toddler, and it's two very different ways of parenting, interacting, dealing with the crying, just like all of their emotional scope is very different and the
Mhm.
way you interact with them is different.
Yeah.
And there's way more play that gets to happen now. But I got pregnant when Kilmer was 11 months. And I was just getting to a point like I remember when we were in Florida, there was 2 weeks here before I knew I was pregnant because we did get pregnant the first day that we got here. So there was like 2 weeks I didn't know I was pregnant. And I remember in those 2 weeks just being like, I'm myself again. I'm feeling like myself,
Dancing
like
around the house on your tiptoes. Yeah.
yeah, running after her,
Mhm.
like getting to be really playful. And I remember having this feeling of being like, she it makes me feel like she knows, oh, now she's going to get to experience who I am, like
Yeah.
who I really am, this like fun and playful side of me that I didn't necessarily have when she was like attached. I was still breastfeeding, but it had weaned down some because she was eating more solids. Like, it wasn't like I was just sitting quiet in a room with her nursing. I wasn't like healing all of my body. I was just like felt like Bethany again, And I was so excited for her to get to know that person. And then pregnancy hit, and I have a hard time in pregnancy, First trimester like knocks you down. Like second trimester is hard for me. Then I forget how fucking hard third trimester is. And sometimes I get jealous of you and the way that you are able to interact with her, like throwing her around in the pool and wrestling on the floor. And like my body just can't do that in
Yeah.
the same way. And so I sometimes feel like Kilmer doesn't get to know me on top of moving to a new state where I feel like everyone I'm meeting only knows this side of me as well. So they don't know me either. Like we even had this moment, I had this such a little story, but like with my niece, who we're just getting to see them more and more. It used to be like once, twice a year. We didn't get to spend a ton of time with them. So we're getting to see them a lot. Also, they're a little older. And one of my nieces had this like button bag and she pulled out a button and it was kind of like a muted plum color. And she was like, I feel like this color is you, Aunt Bethany. And I looked at the color and I didn't identify with the color. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, And then she was like, I feel like Nico would be like bright orange, or bright yellow, which was like so cute. But like, I used to be bright yellow,
Mm.
Like, I have never been like a muted anything. And it's weird. Like, part of it is this time that I'm in, and part of it is slower and it is more like thoughtful, but that's still am I making sense? Like
Yeah.
just
No, you're
feels like
definitely
there's
making
like a little
sense.
piece of me that's missing because
It's not missing, it's just working in a different way. I mean,
right.
your bright yellow is making a baby right now. Like
Yeah.
that's your bright energy force is here creating life, you know? And it's not like taking it away from you, it's just borrowing it in order for the baby to grow. You know, like you need to be a little muted right now.
Right.
You just have to be. And your bright shines, even if you can't see it right now. Like Kilmer and I see it all the time. When you belly laugh and you just like even just smiling at us, and when you're cooking food and it's there.
Yeah.
You may not feel as light on your toes, but
Right.
we still see it, you
I
know?
think that was part of why it was actually nice to have you away for a little bit, weirdly. And not actually, no. It was nice to get solo time with Kilmer,
Yeah.
rather. It wasn't nice to have you away. It was nice to have solo time with her because I kind of had to pick up some of that.
Right.
Like I just had to. So I was exhausted and crampy and my legs hurt and stuff, but it kind of came out a little bit more
Yeah.
because I had to pick up,
You had to
you
do
know?
both. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think about that with single parents all the time. Like you gotta
totally.
play all the roles.
Right, right. Um, and and then, I think about us wanting to have 4 kids,
Right.
right? And really growing the family. Our kids, just because of my age, and they're just gonna have to be close together.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna have to go boom, boom, boom if we wanna do it.
Boom, boom, boom.
Boom,
Hey.
boom, boom. And part of that is also because Kilmer took a lot longer to get here than I thought she would,
Yeah.
like, lost a little bit of time there. And, that's scary too, because then I'm like, I have I have to, like, put in a lot of work now to have this big family that I dream of.
Right.
And it's kind of like living in the house while you're building it, and having to, like, it's just both. And I think how much harder is, like, pregnancy number 4, God willing, we get to have pregnancy 4 with 3 others. It's
Yeah.
just
And
it's a lot.
at what point in between those pregnancies does bright yellow Bethany get to come back?
Right.
And when do the kids get to experience that, you know?
Yeah. And does, like, bright yellow Beth I don't know. People who have had a lot of kids, like, do they come back?
Yeah.
Does it come back, or, like,
You get new colors too, you
Right.
know? Like, I don't think the old color comes back exactly the same as it was. Because you've seen more, you've experienced more,
right.
you know? Like, I think even post-pregnancy, like, your body remembers what it went through. And I mean, it's so much of what we're doing on the show. It's like, it's this constant growth and this constant shift. You just have a larger color palette to work with.
Yeah.
And when you need to step into muted tones to parent, you can. And when you need to go fucking full neon, you can too.
Right.
Like you bounce back hard. Like it took you a second, right? Like as it should in postpartum. But when we wouldn't have been able to pack up 2 houses and move across the country and get to the beach and frolic around unless you bounced back. You wouldn't have even been able to make the decision. Like you were there.
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. By the way, when Nico says bounce back, you're not talking about typical
No, not weight.
pregnancy
Yeah,
weight.
no.
Bounce back. Just that word is so,
Yeah.
people are sensitive to it.
No, yeah, totally. And you are too. I mean, even just this week, you looked at me yesterday and you're like, I'm fucking bigger now. Like even just this week, like
I know.
I put on clothes on Tuesday to leave and they don't fit by the time
On
we're ready to
Saturday.
leave Naples. Yeah.
They did not fit by the time I left. I
Yeah.
was like, dang. This is also that thing that happened that I forget at the end happens where you just bump up a size.
We got to go
Where,
shopping
like,
for some more
nothing
clothes.
fits.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm wearing a swimsuit cover up today.
We got to go get you some pregnancy, some cute little 2-piece sets. We'll do a little Marshalls, maybe a little TJ Maxx run.
Do you remember when
Yes.
this
Please
is
tell
such
this
a
story.
sweet story.
Yeah.
I was pregnant with Kilmer. It was actually still pretty early in the pregnancy, but
Second
for those
try,
of you
maybe?
who don't know, I have talked very openly about this. I have a book about this, but I have history of eating disorder and a lot of body stuff, and that was, a big part of the Become project. And I getting pregnant, your body changes drastically, and your hormones and your emotions and all of it. Everything's changing, and it's not just your stomach, like your ass gets huge too.
Yeah. Your
And
boobs, your
your boobs,
legs,
your
your
legs, your
feet. Yeah.
face, all of it. So, I was so self-conscious, especially early on as my body started to change. I didn't fully look pregnant, but none of my clothes were fitting. And you're like, we should just go shopping. And the idea of shopping and like being in a store and trying on clothes didn't feel good.
Well, you've also like been a zero or an extra small your entire life, you
Yeah,
know?
not
Not that
anymore.
you're wearing that as like a badge of honor, or you did, but that was just like where you went in a
Yeah,
store.
especially at that time. I had
Yeah.
never even, yeah, yeah. So, anyway, you were out grocery shopping and you were gone for a bit, and you came home with like 3 bags full
Construction
of
brats.
clothes
Yeah.
from TJ Maxx and Marshalls, and you just like bought a ton of stuff, and you were like, take off your clothes and start trying this on, and just gave me one thing after another. Like, you bought the size mediums and larges that at that time was like really difficult for me to pick up,
Mm-hmm.
and just put them on without me like looking at size, which is just like a really big part of recovery and like something that's tough to do. And you just sort of like took that on and got me a bunch of cute things to wear.
And you've worn some of those outfits on this
I know
show
that little
too. Yeah,
brown
the Argyle
crop.
set.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you bought that.
Dad, piece of advice, or non-pregnant partner, piece of advice. Go shopping. Just go like buy a handful of stuff. Whatever she doesn't want, whatever they don't want, you can go back and return it. But like that was a win.
Yeah. And then you went and made returns. You're also very good at shopping for me. I had shared that story, I think, at the time on Instagram, and so many people were like, oh, my husband could never.
It's a lot easier than you think. Well, I mean, I do love to do it, but like just go pick up some stuff that you want to see her in and that you think that she'd be comfortable in. Like I also grab stuff that you would never pick up, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I returned a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're good. Yeah, you're good at
It's
it.
time to do it again. Maybe I'll just go and do it this week.
There
You
you
need
go.
some fucking quick, easy pulls.
We need some stretchy stuff.
Especially we're going to keep recording more of these. You just need little looks.
Oops.
Yeah. You know, it's been cool to watch Kilmer become this version of herself that she is. You know, she's really like becoming a little human. And just going back to the identity piece, it's like we have the power and responsibility to like show her versions of ourselves that she inevitably picks up and becomes part of who she is. And there's really something to that in the sense of like which versions of ourselves do we want to expose her to, you know? I mean, they're not all great. We all have like fucking shadows and darker sides. And, you know, you start to recognize it in your kid, right? Like if she's throwing a fit or something, you know, is it like a similar energy to something that I have gotten mad about? Or I don't know, just like in the context of the conversation that you were having about like which Bethany does she get to see and get to know and how does it affect who she is? Like I also experience a version of that as just dad, right?
Right.
You know, just like throughout the day, like how I'm feeling, you know, I'm not always on top of my game. Get a little in my head and my body hurts, you know, we're getting older and it's just like it's something I'm always thinking about.
Yeah, and I also think that there's like maybe an kind of an old school version of parenting where parents needed to be perfect all the time, right? And you needed to like be this example of perfection for your children. And really, kind of some of the newer ideas is that they don't need to see you be perfect. They need to see you struggle and get through it.
They need to see you manage your emotions.
They need to see you manage your emotions,
Yeah.
right? They need to like see you be angry and then breathe through your anger.
Right, and figure
Or like
shit
to
out.
make a mistake and then come like for us to have a fight and then come together and say
Kiss
I'm
in
sorry
front
and
of
make
her,
up
yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah.
And to be able to show that, which I think like takes a little bit of pressure off of the feeling of parenting,
Yeah.
you know, and just being like,
We don't wanna hide her from the problem. We want to offer her the solution.
Right.
And that is really kind of like one of the secrets to parenting that I've discovered in this first year.
Say
Like,
it again.
problems exist, right?
Yeah.
We don't wanna, like, shield her and protect her from the problems
Right.
of our home, of the world. I mean, to a certain extent, right? She doesn't need to see everything, but, like, we're not actively like, "Oh, like, protect her from this," right? Expose her to a version of it and offer the solution, if not immediately, within a few hours, you know? Like,
Well,
coming together
also,
and, like, if we have an argument, like you said, I mean, we're not, like, big arguers, but, like, if we're having some tension in
we
the
have
house,
arguments.
yeah, but to, like, come together
Yeah.
in front of her, not to, like, leave the room if we're arguing,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like, "Shh, not don't do this, the baby's right there." Like,
Yeah.
have our little moment, get through it, and then come together and offer the solution immediately.
So for me growing up, like my parents,
Yeah,
pre-kids,
yeah.
pretty much pre-kids, were wild. But it's actually like a really beautiful piece of the story because uh, they went through a lot to get to the point to be great parents to their kids.
Yeah, and they were young parents too.
They were young, yes, as most people were during specifically
70s.
during that
Yeah.
time. So, but I didn't when my dad died when I was 10, and at the funeral home was like packed beyond packed. There was people out the door and into the parking lot
Mm.
of his funeral that couldn't get in because my dad was somebody that like loved everyone, talked to everyone, knew everyone in town, and the whole town
He was friends
showed
with the
up.
guys that worked at the bank and the homeless guy that was outside.
Yes, I mean, all across the gamut. Like my dad was a pretty incredible person, and he also had some wild and crazy stories. And I
Yeah.
can remember being at the funeral home, standing next to my mom, and his friends coming up and being like, "I'll never forget that time Francis got sprayed by a skunk, and he had to take off all of his clothes and go home naked in the car," and like that time when we dared him to drive backwards from Main Street all the way home, and I'm, like, sitting there like, "Whoa, what are these stories?" And my mom was very, like, not wanting me to hear it,
Mm,
like, she wanted to shield me from the things that she had done, quote, "wrong," or,
mm,
like, the things she had had, but, like, actually knowing these things about my parents, I think is more important.
mm.
So I say that because for Kilmer, I think it's really important for her to know our dark side
Yeah.
past
Mhm.
as and where we are now because we do have plenty of dark side and addiction and like shit that we did. I don't want to hide that from her.
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, we don't need to go talk to her about dealing acid tomorrow. But
No,
no,
age
yeah,
appropriate.
yeah,
Like when
yeah.
they're very
Well,
young,
no,
say
especially with addiction too. I mean, like,
right.
addiction was not something in my house that was ever openly discussed. There was, like, a lot of secrecy and, like, traumatic stories that were never told to any of us kids, ever. And I remember at one point, like, when I was in the fir the first year knowing you, I was like, "There's something that you guys are not telling me." And it came out, and it made so much sense. Like, of course, it just, like, filled all of these pieces in my family story that were just, like, just that never really made sense as a kid. And, you know, I mean, I fell deep into addiction for years, right? But especially knowing that it's, like, in Kilmer's blood, right? Some sort
Right.
of susceptibility to taking shit to the fullest extent, especially given Kilmer's, astrological chart, right? But, but, like, we need to talk to her about the, the darker side of the world
Right.
and what, like, she is potentially more prone to than others.
Yeah, that part always makes me nervous.
Well, especially now, I mean, it's just, like, crazy. Like, I was in LA this week and I had an Uber driver and he had a 15-year-old daughter. And I love talking to an Uber driver. I don't know why.
You really
I
do.
really do. But he was Australian and we got into deep conversations about life and having kids and minivans. And he was like, "Yeah, I have a 14-year-old daughter in LA." And he's like, it's really hard. It's like really scary. you know? I mean, just the fentanyl alone. Like,
Yeah.
you can't buy a bag of cocaine anywhere without thinking potentially not that, like, 15-year-olds should be buying bags of cocaine, but especially growing up in LA and New York, like, you get exposed to the party scene at such a young
Young age,
age.
yeah.
It's crazy.
I'm sure that was a big reason for us, like, not and at the end of the day, not wanting to raise kids in the city.
Yeah.
Like, just with what we did in the city.
And look, it was easier for us to leave New York City because we know my work will always take us to bigger cities. Like we will always have this transient life. I never
Right.
know where I'm working. I go, I spend 3 months here, 6 months here. Like that's just going to be for forever.
Yeah.
So they'll have tastes of the big city.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
no, I do not want our kids in fucking private school in New York or LA with a bunch of friends that are being raised by their nannies, right? That like don't have the same understanding of the world and that have access to the clubs at 13 years old. Like
Yeah.
every kid that I knew that grew up in LA and New York, especially as I like started to party in those cities, they just grew up. You just have to grow up so much faster.
Do you think kids are partying less now, though?
I think it's different.
Like, I definitely think it's different. Like, I feel like they're, like, not as, like, into, like, getting wasted. I don't know if that's true or not.
I don't really know. I mean, I
Like,
think that
maybe because 'cause they're just on their
the
phones.
culture has changed a lot, but think about the access that they have on their phones, you know?
Well, yeah, I
And if
mean,
you
I
look at
don't
like
even want children to have a phone.
different subcultures of music, you know, I mean, like there's like a whole sect of hip hop that like is all about like popping Xannies, you know, and pills.
Pills,
Pills are a big thing.
right. That's probably
Yeah.
their go-to.
And the access now, I mean, kids can buy drugs with their parents' Venmo now, you know, like which is
Yeah.
fucking crazy. Like we needed cash when we were growing up. If you wanted to buy a dime bag, like you needed cash.
I wasn't buying any drugs growing up.
Yeah, me neither.
Oh my gosh. You were yeah, I got my start late, but then I made up for it.
You know, and I grew up close to Chicago, right? I
Right.
was only 20
You
minutes
did
north
not
of the
grow up
city.
city.
Oh, yeah, totally, totally. I mean, I grew up in a bubble, right? But, like, there were a lot of kids that I grew up with that I knew since I was 2, 3 years old that were, like, addicted to heroin in high school. I mean, there was this one girl that I grew up with that, like, got so deep in it, and then I moved to LA when I was, like, 19, and I went to a bar and she was working at a strip club across the street and walked in and she was like, "Nico?" And I was like, "How the fuck did this happen?"
Wow.
Like, all power to fucking strippers, like, do your thing, you know? But yes, there were kids in my school that like
Right.
the access to the city was right there.
Right.
Like if you
Right.
if you were a drug dealer at my high school, you had to go find a drug dealer in the city to get
Yeah, yeah,
access
yeah.
to.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
3rd trimester
that was
shift.
not where I thought we were
3rd
going with this
trimester
conversation today.
shift. I do wanna say, you know, like, there is I just wanna be careful that and I don't think we've really said this in this conversation that, like, "Oh, parenting can, you know, be so hard and we're having a rough time." Like, we do realize how lucky we are to be able to even have the time to even think about this. Like, there are so many parents that both work full-time jobs, you know, and like kids go to daycare every day, right? From a young age and are just their main goal is to figure out like how to continue to support their family and make sure everyone is fed and stays alive. And like we have the luxury of not only both being able to be home with our kids all the time,
Mhm.
but also like do this and have a camera and have microphones and fucking unpack it together and with you guys, like it's we realize how lucky we are for sure.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why we're making the show is we want to like share that love with all of you. And I mean, if there's anything that we say in this space that could like help someone, right? That's part of all of this. I don't know why I feel like I needed to say that, but
Well, it's because it's important. I mean, there's never a post that I do that someone doesn't remind me of my privilege,
yeah.
which which I mean, I remind myself of it every day and talk pretty openly about it as well, you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, but there's just something that's happened over the last few years, right? That has made privilege a bad thing. Like we're supposed to feel ashamed uh, for being white, for having a certain access to the world, for having things that other people don't, and it's a weird thing. It's like
Well, it's also weird because there's always somebody that's better off than you, and there's always somebody that's worse off than
always
you.
at every
Always.
fucking step.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
no matter what step you get to, like, those 2 things always exist.
yeah,
We talked about this in the therapy session too, and it was really interesting. My therapist, I should dive into this more, about she was like, "You are entitled in the best way possible," and she was like, "Something that I really, really work with, like, my clients on or my patients on is, like, allowing them to feel a sense of entitlement and want the best thing for their life, and, like, that doesn't have to be a bad thing."
yeah.
I found that take interesting, even though I know I've talked with her about it
Mm.
before, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I just like gave up feeling ashamed for any level of my privilege or like feeling like, I mean, even the feeling that I had to say that in the context of this conversation, right? That comes from years of people telling me like check your fucking privilege at the door, right?
Right.
But like I don't say it because I feel bad about our current state of life. I say it because like I recognize how beautiful it actually is and I'm like proud of the life that we are able to live. Like if you're just constantly beating yourself up because you have something that other people don't, like that doesn't make anything better for anyone. It just like brings everybody fucking down.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely I mean, I also think that, you know, so when we were at our most financial successful,
Yeah.
which is not right now,
No.
um, and maybe the most, like, fame, spotlight, all of that, I was not happy. And I was really we talked about some of this on, I don't know, one of the episodes, but I was, like, really struggling with depression and anxiety and really, really having a hard time, specifically with anxiety, like, it was rough. And
Mm,
there was, like, some really low moments in there. And that was, like, arguably at my most privileged time of life, you
mm,
know? And something that has happened where we are right now has been a very conscious decision on
right.
my part to slow down, soak things in. Like some of the things that have made my life so much better are like free, like very
Yeah.
like I'm gonna put my feet in the grass every single day. Or like, I'm just going to marvel at the fact that like Kilmer can point to me and say my name. Like,
Mm,
really soaking in some of the little things,
yeah.
I feel like is actually what's offered me so much peace right now.
Mm,
And of course, people have all different, states of their life and different things going on and allow them to like do whatever it is, but there's definitely been some really conscious decisions that we've made, I think, to, like, slow down and soak in
yeah.
what's happening,
I
and a
think
big part of that has been having a kid that we're
yeah.
like,
Well,
I don't wanna close my eyes, I don't wanna
it's a
miss a thing."
it's a really humbling experience,
So humbling, and it's beautiful getting to, like I think getting to see the world through the eyes of a child
Mm,
has, like, been one of the most healing
mm,
experiences for me, like, the way that the first time that she realized that she could pour water from one cup to another
mm,
in the bathtub, like, her excitement was so over the top. I was like, "This is what living is about."
mm.
It's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. It's really such a beautiful thing about having a kid that you wouldn't even like imagine unless you had this experience. How could you?
Yeah.
Okay,
That being said, childcare should be more affordable for
for sure.
everyone.
No questions asked. Um, okay, let's wrap up this episode a little bit. I have a few questions for you.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. We are 6 weeks out, ish. What are your goals for this last chunk of time?
Well, this last chunk of time I think is really I have a long answer for this.
Okay.
The last chunk of time I think is really, really sacred because it's already starting to shift, but something changes around this time. Or it did with Kilmer anyway, and I'm assuming it does in every pregnancy of like this stillness, this like the 2 weeks before Kilmer was born was just a different
It's like
state.
the transition starts now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I think leaning into that and not shying away from it and like allowing, I don't know, just that to kind of take over.
Softening.
The softening, preparing for birth,
Yeah.
and not in like a taking classes and working on breathing techniques kind of way, just like sort of being open to all possibilities,
Mm,
opening, softening. Those
right.
are two
I mean, that's how you birth a
big
baby. You have to
words.
open,
Yeah.
you have to soften.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Connecting with Kilmer and just like soaking in my family and like really being in that.
Mm.
And then like other goals that are more tactile is we need to go through all the baby clothes. We need to clean out the garage. We need to like,
Fucking garage.
we need to do a lot of nesting type
Yeah.
things, which is also really hard with a toddler.
We got to get a storage unit.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll get it all done.
Mm-hmm.
And also if we don't, we don't. Like babies don't actually need a lot, but of course there's like things that you want just to have out of the way
We
and
just need
done
to
before they
nest some.
come.
We got to like get the
Yeah.
space ready for
Yeah.
him. We have to put up the tent, right? We have to like get his closet situated. There's
Right.
like stuff we need to buy for the birth itself. We got to get a fucking waterproof mattress cover for our bed because there's lots of leaking that happens in postpartum.
I saw some like I don't know, on one of the mom Instagrams or something. They're like, what was the thing that your husband just had to do before the baby came?
Yeah.
And all of these people were like, I was in labor and he was power washing our driveway. Or like, we had to stop by Home Depot on the way to the hospital to get this one certain light bulb that like must be had. And I was like, oh, Nico didn't do any of that. And then I was like, wait a second. No, like you were downstairs like writing you're in the studio cutting like an album.
I had to finish my
that you're
album
like,
before the baby's
this
born.
has to be finished because the baby has to be born at this song. Which look, the baby was born at this song, but
Yeah.
I definitely remember being like, I'm giving birth any second. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. And now I'm like leaving 2 more times to go perform that song
Yeah.
before you're
Yeah,
to give
no,
birth.
truly, like, and then like the waterproof mattress, like I don't know, like I didn't leak it all in the mattress. I guess it's a possibility, but that's not in my.
Let's be honest, the fucking mattress gets goat milk leaked on every single night. There's always like a little puddle of goat milk in the bed. It's fucking gross. Okay, one
Kilmer
more.
drinks goat milk.
Yeah. One more question. How is this?
But what are your goals? Oh, the garage?
Yeah, the garage. I want to get the garage situated. There's a few things in the house that I'm getting the tent up for sure.
I also want to show Kilmer a few more like birth videos.
Yeah.
Just preparing her. I think we should focus in on that.
How has this experience of your 3rd trimester been different than with Kilmer? Besides the heat in Florida.
It's weird because it's like I'm more aware and less aware. So it's moving faster. Time is moving faster because there's other stuff going on and I have another child to take care of and think about. And then in another way, I notice way more. Like I've always been super body aware, so I felt a lot with Kilmer. But like when we were in Naples, I was driving home one night and I was like, am I having contractions? Because I really had a sensation that reminded me of what my contractions felt like. Like my legs got kind of tight, like period crampy, not anywhere near like the level of pain, but I was like, oh, right. It made me remember what it felt like.
Yeah.
And then it peaked and then it kind of waved down. And then I started timing and I felt like there was another one that came 4 minutes later. But like, it really only happened twice. And then I got out of the car and then it went away and then I went to bed. But like now, anytime I get sort of this tightening feeling, which is also really normal and common, this far along in your pregnancy, I am like, am I in labor? Like, I'm just, like, very
Okay, just wait a few more weeks, okay, babe?
No, we definitely have to wait. He can't come early, but I know now what to expect from labor. Like,
Right.
previously, it was kind of this abstract
Totally
idea,
unknown, yeah.
and now I know what it is, and that's scary because labor sucks, you know? Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Like, it's not fun.
I had a blast. Let's play a little game.
I mean, it's unbelievable, but it's hard.
We're gonna play a little. What is this? What is this
Okay,
game?
this game
called?
is cute.
What do you call this game?
Would you rather?
Would you rather? Okay.
Wait, here's what's cute about this game is at our baby shower, my niece
One of the nieces that we were
did a
with this
version
week.
of this. She wrote all these questions of would you rathers. We had to fill them out for ourselves and then answer them for the other person
Yeah.
and guess. We hardly got any wrong.
2 maybe each.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
it was. Yeah. So anyway, it was really cute. So this time we switched the questions.
Yeah.
And we're just going to do 5.
Okay. Would I rather clean poopy diapers or dirty milk bottles?
Poopy diapers.
That is correct. The bottles are annoying because you have to take the top off and thing. You got to scrub inside. You got to do a hand wash. Then you got to put it in the dishwasher. You got to separate everything. You got to put them back together.
You know, the whole bottle washing system is when you're breastfeeding,
Yeah,
which
it's a
we
lot.
didn't really use, washing the pump parts, and you're like rinsing and like putting a little soap on your finger. I'm like, babe, that's not how it works.
I figured it out.
Did you?
And poopy diaper is just easy. You say,
You love a poopy diaper too.
Go, next.
I think you like to sniff them.
Go. That's too far, babe. Next question. Let's go.
Okay, would I rather get a wiggly kid into a snowsuit or put sunscreen on a sandy kid?
A wiggly kid into a snowsuit.
Yeah.
We don't ever put sunscreen on kids. Sunscreen is poison. That's it for a different episode. Would I rather go on an 8-hour flight with a baby or an 8-hour car drive?
Flight.
I wrote car drive.
You did?
Yeah.
After our car drive?
It's fun. We can stop. We can do our thing. We can go get some food. Just take our time.
Yeah, 8-hour flight would be tough, but also they'd sleep.
Yeah, but there's all the other fucking people and the
I guess we did just do like
the
basically
guy coughing next to you.
8-hour car drive.
The flight attendant. The
An 8-hour
bumps.
car drive at this point would take like 24 hours.
Let's go. Next question.
Would I rather take my toddler to a water park all day or Chuck E. Cheese all day?
Water park all day.
Water park.
No questions
That
asked.
sounds like so much fun.
Would I rather swim in a pool full of breast milk or Jell-O?
Breast milk.
All day. That's
So-
like my dream.
So good for your skin. You know what we should do with that leftover breast milk? Is make some soap.
Breast milk Jell-O.
Gross. What the hell? Okay. Would I rather feed my toddler peas for a week or beans for breakfast
Oh my
for
God.
a week?
Peas for sure. Beans are like your worst nightmare.
Peas. Oh, it's
Bean-
peas for an entire day or beans for breakfast for a day. Whatever. Peas all day.
Beans and kissing.
Shut up.
Would I rather have a laughing baby as your ringtone, as my ringtone, or a sleeping baby as my screen cover?
Laughing baby ringtone.
Yeah. How cute is that? It's kind of a great idea.
It is. Except our phones are always on silent. Who has their phone ring anymore?
All of our parents. Why is your phone always off? How can you fucking hear anything? I've literally never had a ringer on my
Your
phone my whole
mom
life.
gets more calls and text messages than both of us combined times 10.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, she's so popular.
It's annoying.
Okay. Would I rather have a child who misbehaves but is a genius piano player or a child who is well behaved and likes to cook?
I'm going to say likes to cook. Well-behaved likes to cook.
No.
Really?
A genius piano player?
But likes to cook?
I know, but
That was my answer. Of course, genius piano player.
yeah, but I still think mine would be piano
All right,
player.
cool.
And I mean, likes to cook would be great, but I don't need a well-behaved child.
Okay, would I rather have triplets that nap plays?
Also, babe, I played the piano.
Yeah, and you're not well behaved. Would I rather have triplets that nap peacefully or one child that never wants to nap?
Triplets.
All day, baby.
You would love to have
I'm
triplets.
trying to put 3 in that belly in a few
No.
months. You know what I mean?
Would I rather take 3 toddlers on a cruise or 3 toddlers camping?
Camping.
camping.
Yeah.
I think a cruise would be easier, but it would just be so fun to go camping.
Y'all, that's it for this week. We love you very much. This is Full of Shift. Go over to Patreon right now to get a little extended bonus episode. I also think we're going to do something fun on Patreon. I think we're going to do the watermelon thing. We're going to strap a watermelon and maybe some cantaloupes to my chest. Cantaloupes? I don't have cantaloupes. Okay, grapefruit, whatever you want, babe. And you got anything else you want to say?
No, I just love you. Thanks for being here.
Go check us out on Instagram. My name's at Nico Tortorella. Bethany's is at Bethany C. Meyers. We also have Instagram for Full of Shift. That's at Full of Shift. And go out there. You know what? Call somebody that you love today that you haven't talked to in a minute and say, "What's up? I love you." That's an order. My name is Nico Tortorella.
You already did that.
Fuck yeah. I love you. Get out of here. Hey.
Bye.
Call someone right now.
Rambler.
Call someone.
Bye.
Pick up the phone and call someone. Call your mom. Fucking call your mom. I love you. Nico and Bethany are full of shift.
Nico and Bethany are full of shift.
Nico and Bethany are full of shift.
Nico and Bethany are full of shift. Nico and Bethany are full of shift.
Nico and Bethany are full of shift. Nico and Bethany are full of shift.